Hello, dear listener. I have something truly special to share. It's an exclusive invitation to join me in Mexico for an intimate and luxurious 3-day retreat along the beautiful Pacific coast of Zihuatanejo, taking place the weekend of the spring equinox, March 18th through the 20th. There's also an optional day to stay through the 21st for some special ceremonies that are happening in the area for the equinox. But the retreat itself is the 18th through the 20th, really an opportunity not to be missed. And I'm offering one lucky listener a discounted ticket on this weekend that I've just been loving into being actually for several years now as COVID and, everything. But when we conceived of building this place, our home down here, it's really what we envisioned, bringing people down here for retreats, for trainings, because we felt and we knew that this space was special. And as people keep coming down and we keep getting the feedback, how magical it is, we want to share it in a really intentional way. Be working with the 4 elements, earth, air, fire, water, the metaphors of the season. We'll set sight on a new vision for our mothering journey and creating a deeper connection to self and Mother Nature. So to win a discounted ticket, rate and review this show on Apple Podcasts. Screenshot it and DM it to me on Instagram at Dr. Gertrude Lyons. And remember, the most important thing to mother is yourself. Give yourself permission to take a retreat this year. And besides, who said mothers can't go on a spring break? I'll see you there.
This is a Soulfire production. Welcome to Mother. No, it's Mother. Welcome to Mother, the show where we can explore our inner mothers to actualize our greatest selves. Through interviews with incredible guests, live coaching sessions, and my own experiences, we're going to dive deep into embracing feminine values and reparenting ourselves. So be prepared to show up, hold space, and be mothered in a way you never have before, but have always needed. It's time we rewrite the Mother Code. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Mother, Season 2 of Rewriting the Mother Code podcast. Today, I have the honor and privilege of sitting with my daughter, Morgan, as we begin the journey of bride-to-be and mother of the bride. So this is a guided discussion. And what was really cool was that I had kind of this idea like, ooh, it might be kind of neat to do some podcast episodes as we go on this journey. But before I said anything to Morgan, she suggested it to me. So we were in sync and in line with just, using the space to share about what it's like for us, what we're learning, what we're digging into. Because I know once I found out from her fiance that he was going to for sure ask her to marry him and ask her to marry him while we were all on vacation together, I was like, oh my God, I'm having so many feelings about this. And is that okay? Should he want to do it with us? I just felt very moved and inspired that he felt comfortable enough with us and excited to do it while we were all on a trip in France together. So then it happened, and I definitely noticed feelings. And particularly what I noticed was I'm having a lot of feelings about all the things that went down for me at my wedding, and it was really when I began my growth work. It was really when our whole journey as a couple, but particularly my individual journey, and a lot got stirred up in relationship with my mother and separating from her, and, a lot of upset and pulling away. So, I'm from the standpoint of like, well, she's not going to want me to be a part of it. She's going to want to do this on her own. But guess what? We've had a very different life and we're in a different place. Doesn't mean I'm still not going to have feelings, and we're not going to have feelings, but I don't have to make assumptions. And she has invited me very strongly not to live by those assumptions, but that we can really go on this and both learn and grow. And I remember looking, oh my gosh, I wonder if there's any books on this. And I literally could only find one article that talked about doing this consciously. And, how do I, in the role of mother and bride, do this from a conscious space, and one where I take responsibility for myself and my journey so that I can go on this journey. And I had another friend who I was sharing this with, and, some of my reservations and whatnot. And I love my dear friend, Barbara Burgess. And she's like, text me afterwards. She's like, I promise you that if you don't have fun during this wonderful experience, I'm going to punch you in the face. So I definitely don't want that, but I do love her as an ally, supporting me. So I do feel very blessed and grateful to have this opportunity. This is our start. Like I said, it's a guided discussion. So we're literally going to answer some questions that were presented to us as a starting point. And then we hope to do more from here. So without further ado, here we go. Hi, and welcome to today's podcast. I am super excited because I am welcoming back my daughter, Morgan Lyons. And just a little side note, she is doing this interview with me on her birthday, her 20th birthday. So big shout out and happy birthday wishes. But our topic for today, and who knows, we're kind of thinking it may be a little bit of a series through the next year and a half or so around wedding planning and all that comes up, but particularly in a mother-daughter relationship and to go on that journey together. So I asked Simply Be Agency, big shout out to them because they are the huge support behind me in my podcast, in addition to Soulfire Productions, just little shout outs to them at the moment, to come up with questions for the two of us to chat about today. So we're just going to dive right in. So welcome, Morgan.
Yay, thank you. Happy to be here.
Great, thank you. So Morgan got engaged, just to set a little context in case you missed that on social media. It was all over. She was engaged on July 6th, and it was a beautiful engagement that we got to be sort of part of because it was during our vacation in France. So very cool. And then I realized shortly after, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm a mother of the bride. What does that mean? And it was kind of stirring and also exciting. And we've had a couple already great conversations that we'll talk about, and we'll go from there. But we're going to follow these questions just to keep us in line and see what comes up. So the first question, Momzilla versus conscious mother of the bride. What are either of our thoughts on these archetypes and how they differ?
Well, definitely think Momzilla's mom version of Bridezilla.
Yes.
Can definitely see that being taking over the wedding planning process, making a lot of decisions based on what they would want instead of then the opposite, conscious mother of the bride, thinking about daughter and what they want and kind of supporting them in their vision instead of taking over the process.
Yes. Well, that's 100% what I would say too. And I think the only thing I would add is this whole taking over the process and just bringing, my own or a mother's own anxiety into it, and what, the stress or, things that are getting stirred up for her, if we'll kind of speak generally, for her as the mother of the bride, and then putting that into the process, dumping that on the daughter or the person. So there's, I think, that aspect of it too. And conscious mother of the bride, like, I don't think that's even thought of all that much, and I think consciousness is just bringing awareness to it, talking about everything that's coming up more, and kind of going on the journey, both like to have fun, and have it be something that's really special with my daughter, as well as something I can learn and grow from, and that we all can. But as the conscious mother of the bride, that would be, more what I would be looking to get out of it.
I agree.
Would you like to read the next question?
Sure. What conversations have you two had around Morgan's my wedding? So far, we're really in the initial stages, but I think the first big step we went through was the wedding planner. Mm-hmm. And I think you really let me take the reins on that process, but sometimes a little too much of the reins, and you'll be working a lot with these people we choose too. So definitely value and want your opinion on that. But it was a great process. Got to talk to a lot of amazing women, and then finally picked one together that I think works for both of us. So it's been really exciting.
Hi, I'm so excited to share with you my 2024 Spring Equinox Self-Mothering Retreat that's happening this March 2024. And I would love for you not only to consider it, but to attend. But in considering it, hey, just knowing that you would be leaving cold weather, if that's the space that you're in, and coming down to just magnificently beautiful, warm, nourishing place of Zihuatanejo, Mexico. Zihuatanejo meaning land of the goddess women. And coming to really take time for yourself. Okay. And that I am learning more and more isn't just a nice thing to do or something extravagant or something selfish. It's essential. And I really want you to take it seriously, to consider, just think about what would it take for me to go. It's a 5.5-day retreat, getting from where you are, getting there, landing there, and then being in a space that is all about you. It's all about nourishing you. It's all about tuning into you, using everything around us, the nature, the food, the beautiful people, the rituals, ceremonies. I bring it, we really bring it. And we go deeper and deeper as the days go on, and we release, we let go, we bring in what is nourishing, what is empowering, what is that space of just really divine feminine energy. And we do it in the community of women. It's not for everyone. I will be honest, if the idea of leaving and not making it work, or it's just too hard, not for you. If the idea of, spending that amount of time inwardly focused and going to that level of self-awareness doesn't sound like something you're willing to do or put the time and energy into, then it's not for you. And it's good to know that, right? So this is for people who are serious about what it means to mother themselves, what it means to take time for ourselves, and that gift and what that gift can bring to us. It was originally right after my fall retreat. It filled right up. But now some people, it turns out, are not able to come. So I do have a handful of openings. And if you're listening to this and you're willing to take that step, please reach out to me. We can do a discovery call, or you can put a deposit down. I would love that. And you can do that by going to my website, www.drgertrudelyons, DrGertrudelyons.com. Go to events, and there you go. It'll all be there. There's a beautiful page there for you to explore. I look forward to hearing from you and then seeing you on my spring retreat.
Yeah, it's so fun, even though we've done this, but to hear you, kind of articulate it, it was kind of a first working together on it. And I think gave us a good, window or that of what's possible. But another conversation that we had, because, I was a bit reluctant around overstepping, or jumping in too much. So I initiated a conversation with you of about that, I'm noticing that I'm just holding back. And then we started a conversation of how much, what does it look like to have me be a part of it? And do you want me to be? And then asking you to, make sure and tell me along the way when or if I'm too much or that. So your response was yeah, no, what you just said about holding back, because having this push-pull of wanting to put out all my ideas, but then noticing within myself, am I thinking about Morgan with these ideas, or am I thinking about myself, and just that awareness, but okay to put them out, knowing that you'll speak up when it's too much.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think that's what's great about our relationship is I will definitely let you know if it's ever too much, but so far haven't had that issue.
No.
And appreciate all of your opinions, and since you've actually had a wedding and I haven't.
That's true.
So I do want to hear things, and I can take what I want and say no to whatever I don't agree with.
That's great. I love that. How are you two practicing intentionality around Morgan's wedding planning?
This was another good conversation we had about creating a vision for the wedding. So I think that is really intentional, and having just an overarching vision of how Mitch and I want the day to be, and our vision for our marriage and going forward should really that's what the day should be around, and not just all of the, although fun, but not just all of the materialistic and making everything beautiful, which I know it will be, but just having more intention and meaning behind everything that we choose in the day in general.
That was a big thing on my mind, that conversation about, vision leading the way, and it's yours and Mitch's vision, and that you two spend time however that looks for you setting that vision. And it might even be the start of your wedding vows in some way, like who are we as a couple? Like, what do we want the day to feel like? How will it represent us? And how will it kick us off into our marriage? Because I remember, some of the best advice we got when we did premarital coaching for ourselves, my husband and I, was, having this day be for you and what you want, but also it's not like you're married on the day of your wedding. It's really like the kickoff celebration to get married. And that's always stuck with me, and he said it really takes 3 to 5 years to be married. And that's with intentional work on your relationship and living that vision. So glad you brought that one up. Thank you.
Of course. Mom, what fears did you have around supporting me through my wedding?
Well, I think I named one of them, which is, oh my gosh, what if I overtake it? And then, I think if I look at biggest fears, it would be that I just so obnoxiously took over that you're out of the wedding planning and you'll be invited, but that's about it, or something that just becomes some big rift in our relationship, or, that I want more prominence or forget that this is yours and Mitch's wedding and not our little project. That's another fear, that I have. But yeah, and I do think that, some of my fears, because that's what my fear is, that the things that I was up against in my wedding, which was, separating from my mom and, just starting to look at our relationship. And I knew I needed to set some clear boundaries around what, if any, participation she had in the wedding, because at that time I was letting her totally take over, and it would have been her wedding that I showed up for had we not, had some support to intervene. So for me, forgetting that you're not going through the same thing I am, and that you have a different experience and that you're way, way farther along than I am and was at that time, regarding this kind of thing, and holding, you in that higher regard.
Yeah, but I do think that's something that you need to face and not let that hold you back so much from providing your support and opinions, just for fear of overstepping, because I will definitely let you know.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And and that's right. But I get to kind of go back, and those feelings will come up and I'll notice them. And then that's for me to work on, we can discuss it, or, I can tell you, when it's coming up, but that's for me, which I think, leads to the next question. How are we breaking generational habits? How am I breaking them, with this planning? And I think just noticing that when I was getting married, that was, I think, more traditional even then, that, the mother of the bride and the bride, they just did it. And this traditional notion that the guy does nothing. And we broke a lot of those traditions, that Rich wanted to be a part of it and had opinions, which really upset my mother at the time, because she's like, why does he have to have so much to do with this wedding? I'm like, oh, because we're getting married and it's our wedding. But I don't think that was just my mother. I think that was, the times. And I'm not saying it doesn't still happen today, but I think, breaking that and breaking, old generational patterns of not communicating or sitting on our feelings and then having blow-ups, which would happen a lot in the case with myself and my mom. So I think those are definitely a couple of the big ones. And just the fact that we're communicating, bringing more consciousness and awareness to it, something that I hadn't thought of. Well, and also just even the concept of creating a vision when it wasn't even in our purview before that.
And I think it would be a lot easier if we just took over, but
yeah, exactly.
I think that Mitch and others have a lot to offer too, but it's going to definitely be a first test of compromise and marriage and working together to create something that we both love and are happy with.
So this one's to you. Morgan, what have you admired about how your mom has handled this process?
I really loved how have stepped back and let me kind of first decide what I want and what I want to do, and just kind of supported me in creating this vision and making sure that it's not just about the day and pleasing other people. And we both know it's going to be beautiful, and that you take it to the next level of having more meaning behind every choice and what is going into the day, and kind of creating this more beautiful process of planning instead of having it kind of just be a stressful, let's get this all done situation. And I think it is great. We have so much time to work everything out. And I mean, just at the start of the process, so I'm sure there'll be a lot more things. But I love your ideas of space and beauty that you bring in, and fun, and having just these little tidbits that I wouldn't have thought of that I think are fun and different and appreciate. But I still want you to keep adding those ideas and not hold back.
Yes, I'm not done. It's only just beginning.
Same question back to you. What have you admired about how I've handled this process?
Well, many things. The first one that comes to mind is just, how strategic and effective and how you just jumped right in. And, instantly we had it's like, oh, we really should start thinking about based on, the venues we're looking at, like the guests. And that day there was a spreadsheet like already filled out with like the first. So I love how you don't, sit on things and let things like lag. You jump right in and it's fun working with you already just at the beginning. Not like we've done a lot of working together, but noticing
we have had a lot more calls.
Yes.
Almost daily.
But that work like that is fun for you. And I think I've been inspired by that, to see that. It wasn't like, oh God, I got to go like do a spreadsheet. And it's like, oh, look, like here it is. And we, and play with it. And I don't know, it may sound like a little thing, but it's not something I'm that great at. So I was just like, wow, so impressed. And, putting a little plug in, not surprised that you're doing as well at your job as you are, and why you're advancing so well, because I know this is just a small taste of like the intention and the care that you bring. And I've been inspired by how much you think about, and care about your group of friends and, what's going to work for everybody, and, wanting it to be a beautiful time, not just for you and Mitch. Obviously that's paramount, and I'll continue to put you in that direction, but also, that this is something that's workable, for the people that you want there. And what's the caring you've shown around that aspect. And, similarly, like you already have mood boards put together, you already, and you've just been playing with it and you're dreaming with it to create something that you really want.
But I do think, and I am really excited and want it to be great, but I think it's also been a great reminder of you being like, this is first and foremost about you. It's you.
Yes.
I think a lot of times there's something I'm working through is not thinking about just the guests or hurting other people's feelings, but really just thinking about what do I want that day and what is going to work best for me. And then if people really love me, they'll understand and show up. So I think that's another big lesson and something I'd admired about you in this process is keeping it focused on me.
I will continue to have that be one of my jobs.
Me and Mitch, of
Yes,
course.
exactly. Well, and it's been really sweet to see. I know you and Mitch have been, doing some work. Just the fact that it's important to kind of work on yourselves, and have started in some of that process, and have ventured into that territory, and I can see it working. With you leading in your relationship and leading in your relationship with Mitch toward that. And then, from the fact that I got to kind of be around your engagement and your engagement party, and to see you both allow your feelings to be present, and both, particularly your joy, and not letting any of the anxiety or the stress and some of the unknowns take over, but have really allowed and I've seen it in both of your eyes and the way you are with each other, that I find really beautiful and inspiring. And I think to continue to see that as like a beacon and shining light for the two of you, but also for others.
Awesome. Yeah. So exciting.
I know.
So much to come. Just the beginning.
Exactly. So we thought, why wait until we're like deep into it? Like, let's see. And then we'll pick some points along the way to come check back in if you're willing.
Yes, of course.
All right.
That'll be fun.
So we're hoping that this was resonating with any of you, particularly like if we generalize it, like what's it like, to work on with anything, with a family member, and especially as adult parent child, I see this as us really kicking off our adult mother-daughter relationship and how we want it to be, and with a pretty big project. So I feel very, very blessed and grateful to have this experience and opportunity with you.
Yay, me too. So awesome. I'm so excited for everything. with you.
Woohoo, and happy birthday.
Yay.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for choosing yourself and taking the time to listen to this podcast. As always, please rate, review, and subscribe to Mother. Subscribe to Mother. It helps other people who need this message, aka all women, well, actually everybody, men included. I'm honored to have you on this journey in mothering yourself. Remember, change is uncomfortable, but it's beautiful, and it starts with us. And if you can't wait until next week's episode, follow me on Instagram and LinkedIn at Dr. Gertrude Lyons or at my website, drgertrudelyons.com. I'll see you next time.